life. Okay, thank you, every one of you, my LinkedIn family. Thank you. My name once again, Lola, and I want to appreciate every one of you out there that are following me, that have been appreciating the content and been engaging. Sometimes it's not easy when you come out there and write content and then put yourself out there that you want to do something for everyone. So most times when I put content out there, honestly, it is not really like I'm following engagement or something, but it's actually because I just love writing. When I was growing up, I've always loved writing. Even I remember the days of when I was writing for Sunday Punch newspaper. Yes, it dated to that kind of date when I would want to write, and then I got the opportunity. Like, I wasn't invited to say, Rita, be a guest columnist or be a guest writer. I just love writing, and I was sent to Sunday Punch. And then it used to be like an Ontario girls and females and boys listening to this story. But then that was what I was doing. So sorry, let me just say. So to everyone out there, I've not seen anyone joining in right now. This is Rita Babalola from Beacon Beat office in Lagos, Nigeria. So today we'll be talking about negotiating your salaries. You do interview. We get to a point when in our career we want to earn more. We want more money. I don't want to blame anybody. And that's why I said, demand as much as you want and don't apologize for it. Don't ever apologize for stating a figure. If you're also going to say a figure, make sure that you can back it up with your facts. Make sure that you have value addition on it. So yes, I see somebody joining us, two people actually. Ozo Omasigo Mary Fanny, thank you. This is one person that's always dropping engagements. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I apologize for coming in late today. But you know where the system is just not working out there. That why that so I remember the days when we called it elementary school. My friend and I think we wanted to print mags and couldn't because it was quite expensive. And then one of my hands suggested that, you know what, you can write for Punch. Why don't you just send your article there? And I started writing for Punch. Then, children's corner, like where you have the children's corner. So thank you. I need to move here. Hello, Jogen, can get your name. And then Shuhaib, Aishat, Murayo, Razak, I really want to appreciate you all for joining. So today we'll be talking about one important topic that candidates usually have this fear. They think if they probably not take them and move them to the next stage. Try to demand what you want. And I'll tell you one thing: when you're negotiating your salary, there's this thing in terms of statistics, well defined, that women find it hard to negotiate their salaries. But male, when you're doing interview with a male, probably because we have this thing about cultural context of having that a male will always be the one that takes care of the room. Culturally, that's why I said like in Nigerian context, you have it like, oh, this is the way it has been conditioned. A male will take care of the home. Will take care of expenses. A woman will do this culturally. Don't get me wrong. And then what do you have? During interview, it has been known that the research has been done. I don't know which one quantifiable right now. That male have always asked for higher salary more than the female. I don't know why females find it difficult. So I'm using one of this platform now, SM platform now, to say, be free, be bold to ask about any salaries that you want. So what are the things that you will get to the interview and you want to discuss salary and you get to that point? For me, and I'm going to suggest to everybody out there, for the 7 people that have come on live right now, is this: don't get to the salary negotiation stage and let it be the first time you'll be talking about salary. No, that is where most of us get it wrong. Yeah. Thank you, Arena from Kano, Nigeria. Don't wait till. Sorry, I need to move my seat nearer so that I can see. You can see I'm using glasses, so my glasses is for short-sightedness. Okay, so I cannot see far, but I can see near things. But with this particular glasses, because of the computer, I have to use a different set of glasses. Okay, so don't make the day you get to your interview, the first time you'll be practicing salary negotiation. Did you get me right? Prior to your interview day, ensure that you prepare. Preparation is key. For most of us, we don't take the opportunity to do what? To prepare for negotiation. Let me share what I usually do. If I'm going to have a meeting with my team, if I'm going to have a prospect, we're going that has been conditioned, that has said share link, and they say Beacon Gate, you're going to have a meeting with so at 3 p.m. Once it's 11:12, I call my team together. We have a meeting before the meeting. A meeting before the meeting. And that is where most applicants, most candidates get it wrong. You don't practice interviewing skill prior to your attending the interview. What you usually do is you wait till the interview day, probably during the waiting period. Some people will start filtering through their phone. If you filter through your phone, you just have that complacency that you know it. But believe you me, by the time you get in front of somebody, it will be a different thing. If you have practiced it prior at home, you will have that confidence, number one. You have that like you're wearing confidence on your sleeves. You will be able to discuss it comfortably. Because okay, let me share a typical example. I get to the point where, oh, thank you for everything. I'm thinking there is a way for you. I appreciate the fact that you took out time to come for this interview. So I get to the point, I'm like, okay, what's your salary expectation? And then for some, no, use what has been profiled on LinkedIn. Use what has been profiled on Nigeria Job Board. And I'm like, okay, what do you want? And for some, honestly, it's so disappointing that you took yourself off from your house and you came down here and you're telling me it's just the budget for what has been known. Because sometimes you believe that figure that has been stated will be enough for you. Have you done your own calculation? Have you done a calculation of your own expenses? My expenses is going to be different from Victoria's monthly expenses. Victoria's monthly expenses is going to be different from Rita Babalola's expenses. I have children. I will consider that. I will consider the extra tutoring that they need. I'll consider like what we call the black tax. My parents. Something goes back to them. I will consider some other things. I used to do something like I call Rita Social NGO, because there are certain people that I cater for, families and friends. I always set aside a certain number. Then for some people that are still like in the career field like us, you still want to set aside certain money for training. So like I said, number one point is preparation. Prepare and practice from your home. Don't get to the interview stage and start thinking about what will I say. If I've not showed the line, I'm honestly, it can't be the same. So if you want to gain that confidence and be taken serious, I want to implore you, do a bit of interview skill. Get somebody in the house, get somebody, your colleague. You know, some of us, when you're looking for interview, you have friends that you talk to. Oh, Victoria, I'm going to be having an interview tomorrow. Can I just say something? Can you ask me 2 questions? Can you ask me 3 questions? Even if it's your spouse, even if it's your parents, even somebody, honestly practice it. It makes a difference. I do facilitation a lot, and I see that in the context of it, when I'm doing it, I'm also like engaging, like practice meeting before the meeting. So call it number one, preparation. Then number 1B, I'll say having that negotiation interview with somebody before you leave your house or before you leave the office or leave wherever you are. That is number one rule. Preparation is key. Then that same thing, before you get there, you should have conducted research. For some people, is the 15 minutes wait. They get their phone and start pressing, oh, salary, no. Before you get to that stage, what would have happened? They would have written something about the salary for that job role. So have you done a bit of research? When we're talking about research, I'm not saying pay somebody. It's just a simple thing. What do you do when you do research? Sometimes you could call friends and families, colleagues, professional networks. Oh, I am going to Beacon Gate for an interview for a business development for 5 or 6 years. And then you begin to ask questions. Some will tell you the actual fact and tell you the truth. But for some people, they're not going to tell you. They'll probably think that, oh, what are you doing with it? So I want to enjoy you. Ask friends, ask families. There are also online platforms that you can check. So get this, number one, Glassdoor. You can actually get information about Nigerian jobs in terms of their salaries. You get it from Glassdoor. Glassdoor, write it down. Number two, PayScale. Just type the name of the organization, the industry. But then I should tell you that it's not all jobs that are on that platform, the online platform. If you're a Nigerian, typically there will be some platform that you look into, and then you see some information. For those that hear theirs, before coming online now, I did for a particular bank in Nigeria. Try to see it out. So the third one, LinkedIn. Some people post recruiters, Beacon Gates. What other recruiting firm do you have? Bell Consulting. Check it out. If they posted previous job on business development for 5 days, for 5 years, check it out. Oh, I can see it. Business development. Go on their platform, go on their employee platform, those ones that post jobs. See, like when you're checking something on LinkedIn, you get to the profile of that person, and then you want to check previous post. On the previous post itself, check the previous jobs that they've been posting. You're honestly doing a research. It is not until you sit down at a desk and be writing, or pay some people as researchers. No. Number three, you can actually get information on Indeed. Indeed is an American online job board posting platform. I think it was set up sometimes. I can't even remember the year again. But then they have it in different countries. If you type Indeed Nigeria and you talk about salaries, you will see it there. You can actually pay for subscription on Indeed as well, so that you can be alerted for job roles, because there's always it's a job board. And for most of us in Nigeria, really, we don't usually pay for paid services from this organization. But I can assure you, those premiums can actually get you jobs. When you pay premium for it, there's some things that you get freely, information that will come to you easily. But then it depends on you, the price you have to pay. So the fourth one, Word at Work, you actually can get that too. So we're talking about salaries, negotiating for salaries and benefits, success tips, success strategies for success. And I've said number one, preparation. Do interview before the interview. I used to call it meeting before the meeting. So if you have your spouse, your friends, your colleagues, do the interview, get to the point of when you are negotiating salary and say something. Practice it. It's like preparing for a pitch. Then number two, under that preparation or 1B is research. And I've told us the way to do this research, where I listed Indeed, I listed LinkedIn, I listed Glassdoor, I listed PayScale. You would have information about it. Then number two, know your worth. If somebody, I was telling one of my clients, I'm trying to talk to her, the end of the organization, and I said, oh, from my current clientele base, there are actually 3 companies that can lure me to leave my Beacon Gate to say I should come and work for them. And I can probably do it only for 6 months or 1 year. I love what I'm doing. Can they pay me? That is the next question. So what is your worth? If I were to ask Omonike Fadiji, how many years of experience do you have? If I were to call you out now, I don't know if I could call people and then see practical example of what's your what? Okay, so let's put a number to your what. And so I will enjoy you, Aruna, Alabi, Stella Rose. What are you what? What do you think you're what that an employer can pay you? Let's start putting the figures out there. Let's see. What is your what? So the totality of your what is actually your experience, your skills, your abilities, the value addition you're bringing into the organization. What have you achieved in the last few months, in the last few years? Okay, so there's somebody that says, oh, this one more add to add is what's trying to give levels for your information. This website also gives info about salaries. So in determining your what, you're going to look at the totality of your experience, the totality of your skills, your accomplishments. Like I was saying earlier, like there are actually 2 or 3 companies in my present clientele base that will say, oh, Rita, can you come and work for me? And I'll say, oh, Lincoln Gate Victoria, let me fashion your team. Let me work for this number. So how would I determine my worth? How many years of experience do I have? What kind of trainings have I gone for? What kind of skills? What kind of value addition? Do I know this organization that I'm coming into? And how do you really know this, really? And that's what most of us fail to do. When you come into the negotiation table, know a bit of the issues around the role. When I'm doing interview, I'm always telling candidates, maybe because I'm always the last leg anyway, because I would have presumed that after all the stages that you have, maybe 2, then come to me 3, I get to the point where I'm telling you directly that this role is as a result of new opportunities, growth. I'll tell you that, oh, this role is actually as a result of the fact that maybe somebody left or they're having an issue and they need an expert to come in with a certain expertise to add value. So you quantify it. What is your what? So if you know all the things that you feel you can do in this organization, then be rest assured that you can ask for anything. Yeah, you can ask for anything. If you're sure, it's just like when you're saying somebody's speaking nonsense and that nonsense is, this is it. So people are saying they don't know their what, they don't know their what. Actually, you know your what. Your what is not going to be isolated or take it out completely from the context of knowing what the industry is paying. So you still need to know the market value for that particular position, and then the industry type is also key. We all know generally that salaries are usually high in banking, finance, financial world, insurance, and then what do you call it now? Oil and gas. And then now the gold, where everybody's rushing to, the fintech. So the salaries of people there is going to be higher than maybe when you consider manufacturing, some manufacturing. So knowing your what and that accomplishment, you state it, but don't go like I have 5 years and I'm telling them I want 20 million. That's far-fetched. But if you say 20 million and you're going to say, oh, all the problems here, sometimes for business development executives, the salary is not what you usually like calculate easily because they have also the bonuses. So once you know your worth, and that is the totality of your experience, you're going to factor in the industry, you're going to factor in the years of experience, but not all the time. Because I was sharing something with my team earlier this morning. We had a knowledge sharing session, and I said, oh, the fact that you have 10 years of experience and you've come into an organization, and if someone with 3 years of experience can do that job, they will give the 3 years of experience a chance to do this. Let me use this scenario. I used to have an intern. She's presently with one of the oil and gas company, and she stayed with us for internship for 6 months, and then we converted her. So she worked for almost 2 years. So a particular role was became open in one of these oil and gas. Not the top major, but before you mention 10 oil and gas company in Nigeria, you mention this organization. It was a 4-year experience job role, and this lady had 2 years experience. By the time she got to that stage where they were talking about salaries, they had to change their old structure because they took her at 2 years experience. So it is no longer about the lengthy part of your work experience or the longer years of experience. It is the what. What are you bringing to the table? Most organizations want value, and the value also includes training, learning development. In the last 1 year, what additional training have you added? Once you see webinar, when you see paid opportunities to go for training, please go for training. They also constitute a part of your worth. So if you take it for granted, you get to where you will need it more, and then you are undervaluing yourself because you need, the more you do training, the more your earning power. Then set goals and targets. Don't forget, we're still talking about salary and benefit negotiation, the strategy for success. Set goals and target for yourself. What goals are you setting for yourself? For me, I'll tell you, 2, 3 years down the line, you're an executive, an intern, an associate. You tell yourself, in the next 3 years, I want to be probably an assistant manager. I want to be earning, this is 300. So in 3 years, I want to be earning 1 million. So what are the things that will get you there to that 1 million? Number one thing, training. Number two, there are things that you have to volunteer for. There are things that you have to practicalize. And that also include at when you get to 5, 6 years, your worth will increase if you have people that you have mentored. Your worth will increase if you have added value or impacted someone. So that during the course of the interview, you can say, oh, in the last 6 months, I've been coaching, I have been mentoring Maureen on leadership. And when we started, Maureen didn't know what we'll call probably a delegation skill, because I'm always having problem with her in terms of time management. And I decided to take her through time management skills. And then once we started, I saw that most of the time when we have issues in terms of service delivery, in terms of falling short of my expectation, is what she has prioritized as being important. So once you're coming into the organization, you're looking at the goals and your targets. So if I'm earning 300 in 2022, by 2024, I should say 200. I should be times 3 or 4 or 5. Okay, so times 4 is 800. Yes. I'll take cognizance of inflation. I'll take cognizance my pathway, my learning pathway. I'll take cognizance of what I have added and the successes of my previous job, because I'll be using it as a bait. Oh, while I was in this bank, I was able to resolve this issue. Oh, I developed a template that we're all using. I remember when I got into banking, it was the earliest part where I just saw something like a form that for deposit. I was in private banking then. And then I saw someone, a customer really, and I was, okay, fine. It was like, maybe you call it unprofessionalism then. And they left it on the table. And I was just like, let me see what this is. I was like your curious business development executive. I saw the template and I was like, cool, 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 cool. And honestly, I introduced it in my workplace. I got awarded. They gave me a plaque. This, whatever it is, to say, oh, this is what it is. This lady is ambitious. I added value because they were doing it manually. But this one was what I saw that made deposit rolling over. If you ever had to work with retail customers or clientele base that you have deposits, I had more than 100 customers. I thought I would have like, okay, maybe today is Monday, I would have rolled over investment. And then the next, maybe by Wednesday, I would have like 30 again. And then writing it out, writing it out, writing. I just saw the template, boom. And we started using it in the bank. We were not the only unit using deposit or rolling over investment for clients, but they use it generally in the bank. And I got rewarded for that. So I could bring this on the interview state and said, oh, while I was in my former bank, I brought out a template that simply simplified our job processes. Prior to bringing in the template, it used to slow us down because you have to do manual writing. By the time you write 30, another unit you write probably 40. And then you move straight to the customer service people. They confirm if the funds are really in the bank and they've not been withdrawn. And then you get to operations. By the time you get there, is maybe one day the system is off and things like that. It gets slowed down. But by the time I designed the template, we all loved it because you could do like 30, 50. You can even program them down. If it's that same industry that you're coming into, and believe you me, your self-worth has gone up again. What issues in terms of business process that you're able to bring in? What processes did you bring in? What template did you design for them? In terms of mentorship, what have you done in that regard? In terms of like all this data analytics, what skills have you built on? I had a client come, was it not 2 months ago, and we're looking for a finance executive. And the client told me that, Rita, I don't want a profit and loss accountant. And I said, sir, what do you mean profit and loss account? I want a finance person that is going to start using all these modern tools. I understood him, but I wanted to pull his leg. And I said, sir, what is that modern tool? He was like, oh, you know what? They will just bring the figure out. They'll put it in bar chart. They'll put it out in pictorial form. They'll put it out. And I said, of course, that is what we're talking about. So don't just be a finance executive or an accountant and you let the work go and pass you by without doing anything about data analytics. So learn it. So the next one is confidence and assertiveness. You get there. Oh, what salary are you expecting? And you say 2 million, and then, and then you start laughing. That shows me that you know that, I shouldn't take you serious. You've already told me that you're making a joke of it. Definitely, I know it's a joke, so you don't mean it. Then I tell you that, oh, so let's come to the basics. What's your salary? What are you expecting? Because I've taken you off guard. Maybe you've even done your homework because of at the fact that you have laughed. And at the fact that I also want to text you. You see, most people tell you, oh, I was just thinking that, oh, it's 2 million. Okay, pay me anything. I don't always want to hear that. Don't come to an interview and say, pay me anything. So sometimes I used to joke with them and I said, I'll drop in. I said, okay, let me pay you 100,000. And he's now saying no. And I said, okay, so let's get so serious. Let's be serious now. What do you expect? So note those figures from home. Don't come there. And then when you're talking about it, what's your body language? Don't make it like you're fighting with the interviewers or the recruiting specialist. No. Oh, I'm expecting the sum of 400,000. Though I saw your job posting and you posted 300, but I believe that if I have the opportunity of working with this organization, I'm going to contribute in this way. Number one, my value addition will be in terms of problem solving. I've always been commended for my problem solving skills, even right from school. I remember this incident when I was in 300 level and they were having problem regarding what are the issues in 300 level. Okay, let's take typical one. One day they were looking for somebody to do presentation. The MC that they had paid did not show up. And then we could not start the program because they were now looking for who was going to do it. And then behold, I stood up and I took that presentation. And people were surprised because I've always been a quiet person. Really? So Rita could do this. And when I did it very well, even my professors in school, my lecturers, they were surprised that I could do it. That also led me to do some certifications in public speaking. See how smooth it went because I've practiced it. I didn't practice it, but then, this is what I do on a daily basis, really. But I'm saying that imagine if somebody comes in and you have made a joke of 2 million and I come back to you, yes, I'm worth 2 million. For my problem solving skills, I've always been commended for it. Even in the last award in my former place of work in December last year, when they were giving staff employees award, I can show proof and I can testify to the fact that I was one of the 3 that was given an award for problem solving because the organization proud to now, in terms of business continuity plan, we've always had issues with the muster point. And that's because most of the time, Other corporations usually park cars in front of the building, or the customers of the bank or the customers of our organizations usually park haphazardly. Now, randomly, and they've been told. So, what did we do? There was a piece of land somewhere about maybe less than 5 minutes walk somewhere, and then we made findings and found out that, oh, the owner was just somebody maybe less than, but probably a customer of the bank, or customer of your, I mean, a client or something. And then we reached out to them, and because he was our client, he didn't even charge us for parking there. With what my organization had to do was just to clear the field, and we started parking there. Oh, then and I will ask you, are you in admin or something? And you said, no, you're not in admin. You just decided to solve that issue so that that space could be used for muster point. Muster point is where we all gather when we're doing a bit of like safety stuff, HSC. So what are those value additions that you can bring on board? Then be assertive enough to say it. Don't be too hard. It's 3 million. And then you start tighten your face as if you're like fighting with them. And then you're asking questions. If you don't want, though you can't pay me, then you walk out. There's some people that get to that point of being angry. And for me, most times, when you come into my place, I'm already telling you that, oh, there's water beside you. If I don't have Tom Tom, you will take water. So calm down. Let water freshen up your mind. So the number 3, apart from building your confidence, like I said, work from home, get there, be confident, be assertive and polite with the recruiting specialist. Number 3, the salary negotiation itself. Now, we now get into the nitty-gritty. Oh, but this company can only afford 500,000. Oh, sorry, I cannot take 500,000. My last pay in my previous job role was about 750. So I don't see myself stepping down in this particular regard. And the interviewer were like, oh, but that is what it is. I can show you facts, maybe probably when I get in, that I can't take that amount. I would love you to see my worth and my value. I don't know if you could ask them if it's like a recruiting firm or if it's the company itself. I don't know if you could speak to your senior executives if they could add a bit of tweak with the figure. 500 would be too small for me. Okay, I'm looking at about 600 if they will compromise. And that's because of the benefits. Because I saw in the job posting where you said, oh, foreign travels or training opportunities. Where I was or where I am right now, they've never sent anybody on training. And I see myself in the next 2 years doing a bit of certification in safety. And that's what you call NEBOSH. Yeah, I think NEBOSH is for safety. I'm using safety so that it doesn't look as if it's just HR all the time. And then you can even say, oh, before coming here, or yesterday, I even had to do a bit of research. I went on Indeed, I went on LinkedIn, I went on Glassdoor, I went on Payscale, I went on other Niger job, typically to just go and check. Even Naira Land, you can get information there. Back it up with facts. And then PwC usually does this yearly salary benchmark. But that will only be if you're working for a big corporation, the PwC one. Otherwise, you run your company aground. So ask yourself now, preparing for interview, what is that word that you want to complete yourself in? Is it worth it? Are you going to get there and are you going to just start laughing and say, oh, this is what it is? No. For whatever it is, believe in yourself and state what you want. If you get to the point and you're smiling, then I will not take you serious. But however, be flexible enough for the recruiter to say, okay, what if I'm able to do this? Okay, let me share a typical example. About a month ago, there was this guy. He applied for this job role in a facility management company. The job role was for 250, 300. And then you must have a bit of HR experience and legal experience. But what he had was just 1 year HR experience. And then legal was the one that built up to it. At the end of the day, when the job was posted, I think, excuse me, he was earning 220 and he needed to leave his present job role to apply for this job. When we got there, he told me that it could take 250. And I told him that, see, When they posted that job, they wanted someone with about 6 years. You have 4 years. I'm going to take you on because I like your confidence. Because sometimes those job profiles is just for what we want. Sometimes it changes in the recruiting office. And then he said, no, I'm not going to take that. And I said, okay, what's your best? He told me 300. And I said, I have to be honest with you, 250, 300. I'm sure if I take you to this organization, they are not going to take you. Let's reach a midway. What would be the minimum you will not go below? He said 300. And I laughed. And I said, I've been working with this client for 4 years. I'm going to push the 300, but I know they won't pay you. So you need to prepare yourself. So should I push you forward or should I just take you out of the reckoning? And he said, I should push him forward. We got to the interview on the final one with the management of the organization. And then he still repeated 300. Believe you me, I know the organization. The HR immediately said no, because the HR is someone that is the head of corporate communications. HR is corporate communications and legal. HR is under their corporate communications unit. So because of the scale of work now, they needed somebody that would take a bit of the legal aspect. Legal is reading and all those stuff there. So they took it out. They want to reduce this head of the corporate communications job role. So they told, she immediately said, no, you don't have this, you don't have this. What's the minimum? And then I just looked at him and I kept quiet. And they said 250 is what they could pay. And he said no. So in between it, he was changing his face. I was trying to look at him. I was like, boy, this is the MD of the company is there. He's just keeping quiet. Those ones that they will keep quiet, but they are watching your body language. Your body language is beginning to show as if you're aggressive. If you're aggressive there's some of us that can't tolerate it. And believe you me, most of my clients are usually the ones that come from overseas to set up business in Nigeria. So they have home as overseas there and Nigeria. So their work ethics, the way, the mannerism, the tone matters. Is in Nigeria you can shout. Is in Nigeria that you can say, oh, they said 6 o'clock, for 2 a.m., 2 p.m. meeting, and you don't go there for 2 p.m. and you are okay, you don't apologize. For this client, you must apologize. If you don't apologize, no matter how engaging your conversation is, your work attitude has been picked up. Your personality traits now has affected the chances of your job role. So if you come in there and you're late for 10, 15 minutes and they're waiting for you, believe you me, there's nothing you will do that this person will take you. Because she believes punctuality is the soul of business. You must bring your best foot forward. And if you start changing your body tone because you are talking about salary, you're sending a different message that you're going to be aggressive over some things that don't agree with you in the workplace. Imagine working for somebody and then you started arguing with them and then your tone start rising. So watch it. So I was trying to look at this guy. He wasn't getting me. So I had to interject at this point. I said, madam, this is what has happened. I've already told him that this is what it is. But I also know that the cost of living is something else. I went to the supermarket some days ago. I tried to buy some snacks for my kids. I spent 15,000, and at the end of the day, I took this polythene nylon and I looked at it at 15,000. That same biscuit, Oreos, I remember some years ago, I would buy the carton for 7,500. Then I'll buy famous. I don't know famous. Those ones I have children. Famous biscuit. It was a famous biscuit. I was trying to remember that when I was using examples, and then I will buy that same one around the same price. So for 2 cartons of biscuits, I'll spend about 15,000. But yesterday I bought 6 Oreos. I bought all these snacks, popcorn. I bought that. I bought some plantain chips for them to take to school, 15,000. And I said, so I was now using as an example in the interview there. So I said, okay, can we reach a midway? And I said, okay, let's compromise, ma. Let's do 290. At this point, the guy was not smiling. I had to oh, do you have any question? I had to interject because I was already seeing body tone. Do you know this guy now is working with the organization? He resumed this Monday or last week Monday, I can't remember, at 285,000, 35,000. And then what were we able to do? Some other benefits. So those of us that usually have a certain amount of money, consider the benefits. What other things are being added? Yes. They're telling me my time. I think I've spoken too long on this thing. Consider the benefits, the extra benefits. HMO. Some organization would not have families on board. Some organization will allow you to bring your parents on, so far they are less than 70. If you have that, why are you arguing? Some organization will tell you, do you have training opportunities? Some will tell you for your certification, they'll pay 50%. Add that to it. Some will tell you on a monthly basis, they're going to pay you a call allowance. So for this particular job role, at the point I'm talking about, because it's in legal and also HR, we'll be calling candidates, we'll be calling people. It's going to have a call allowance to it. So don't always look at the financial aspect and forget the non-financial aspect. That's number 3. Now, looking at other benefits and not necessarily the financial benefits. So when you are negotiating and it gets to the point where it's becoming like a stalemate, please ask the recruiting specialist, can I please know other non-financial benefits that is attached to this role? And then you've reduced the tension on yourself. You've reduced the pressure on yourself. Your body system of your body tone, your body language will change positively. So when you get there, you're talking about work arrangement, flexibility. Some people will tell you, oh, I stay in K2, I stay in Yaba, I stay at Crown Estate, I stay at Abraham Adesanya. So if I'm going to enter public transport, it's going to be this. And they say, oh, there's a staff bus, a plus. So if you take it less than, I was speaking to a friend and she told me our organization that they take lunch every day, 5 days in a week. So if the organization is taking and paying for lunch, that has already reduced your financial burden. Because typically on the average, you spend at least 8,000, or depending on the kind of food you take, and depending on the person, depending on the value of your salary. I know for myself, or sometimes when they buy me 3,000 now, they are moving it to 5,000. I say, I told that lady, I said, no, never ever buy me lunch above a certain amount of money. So, but then if you have an organization that is taking that burden off you, then be flexible enough to consider other things. Because by the time you add 3,000 per day for lunch, in 5 days, it's 15,000. In 1 month, it is 15 times 4, that's 60,000. And you're arguing for 30,000, and somebody is going to use that 60,000, and you don't need to spend your money on it. Or for most businesses, they tell you your wardrobe allowance is so. Your benefit is so. And you're still arguing over 30,000 or 50,000 extra. Why don't you just leave that? And Yomide say, don't focus only on the financial benefit. Yes, most organization training and development has increased. Yes, see the need for self-improvement. But nowadays we beg professionals to go on training. Nowadays we beg people to go on training, and then you have an organization that is paying you, and you're not seeing it as a plus. So if you're negotiating salary and it gets to a stalemate, please consider other perks, other benefits. If you have an organization and it's saying, oh, there is 1 month leave, don't commonize that leave, because there are some organizations, they don't even have entitlement to more than 2 weeks leave. And somebody is saying 4 weeks leave, you have it. Christmas period, Christmas season, end of the year, 2 weeks is off, go for it. Because you now have time to do other things. You have time to read, you have time to, bond with your family members. And or he's saying work from home, and it's like 2 days off from home. Quickly calculate mentally the cost of transportation, the cost of feeding yourself outside, and then you are just arguing over 60,000. When you do the deductibles, the expenses, you find out that you're saving up to 100,000 or 120. The cost benefit of it all. So it is not always the fact that I am arguing about it. So let me recap a bit of it. Number 1, I said prepare before coming for your interview, a day before, 2 days before. Preparation meets opportunity. Meeting before the meeting. Interview before the interview. Do it, please. The role of fringe benefit can never look into that. I don't get that. The role of fringe benefit, that's being done by Engineer Okolo. Can you explain? Okay, maybe one of these days I'm going to do another session where we'll talk about this. I'll give a venue for people to talk so that I can address their question really. Okay, so and I said something about researching. That it doesn't mean that you have to pay somebody. We've mentioned roles, yeah. I mean, we've mentioned online platform that you can actually get salaries of Nigerian organizations, but it is not everything. You have the Glassdoor, you have the PayScale, you have the work at work, Word at Work, you have Indeed, you have LinkedIn. And then somebody said something like levels. I'll check that one. Thank you so much for the person that suggested that. And then when you get to the interview stage now, be confident. Be confident. Exude confidence when you're talking about it. Don't go there and go and laugh because you state a figure. Know your what, but your what you would have calculated it from the house. You would have calculated, factor into consideration your expenses, your living everyday expenses. How much are you spending for transport, your fueling, telephone, electricity and tariff is quite high now, rate, clothing, children's school, factor it in. Do the monthly one and then do the yearly one. Then look at make room for benefits and perks because sometimes it is not usually trading as per take the cash gift. They will not monetize your leave. So then in some organization, they'll tell you, oh, we'll pay children's school fees. I've seen that. Some will say 30% of your children's school fees. That is 3 times first term, second session, third session. Multiply it, and somebody is paying, and you're still arguing over 1,000. Oh, I want 400,000 per net, and then the person is saying, okay, gross. Then the last part of it is always think in terms of net. It is very important. Don't ever discuss salary on gross because the tax computation is usually very different. Some follow the Nigerian approved, the statutory right legal way of tax computation. Some don't follow it. If the organization follows it 100%, you'll be shocked that your tax component is as high as 60,000 or 70,000. So always remember to go for the net and not the gross salary. Net salary is what is, oh, I want to earn 700,000 net. I don't know how you do the deduction, but I want to take home at the end of the day, 700,000 is what I want to see in my account. And you get it. So then you get to the point where you're also now looking at the strategies. Always remember to come up with data. Oh, I looked at maybe Lyra Land yesterday and I saw, oh, this particular job role for business development, 5 years, 7 years is this amount. And for some of us, okay, so let's assume a client come in and say, oh, Rita, okay, we have one in present now, an accountant. They said they want an accountant too. And I asked the client, what do you want? He said, oh, we want about 7 years. I said, 7 years, what do you want me to give you? He said, oh, what are you expecting? He said, Rita, advice. Sorry, let me just take out something on my lips. The client told me, what do you suggest? And I told him that, sir, honestly, I don't have a computation on it. But sometimes we leave it open-ended. When we leave it open-ended, if I invite 10 candidates and 8 show up, and I'm looking for 8 years experience, and then 8 to 10 appear, and out of those 8 that appear, they are all asking me for 800,000 net. And some ask me maybe 600, 750, 900, 1 million. I'll do an aggregate of that and I'll tell you, okay, let's leave it open-ended. Once I get those people coming in and they tell me this is what they want to earn, I'll get back to you. That is the way I help my client to know that. Don't give me 300 and tell me that I start to have looking for accountant of 8 years at 300, 900. I mean, when it is going for 700. And for most of us, we don't know our worth. So when we say certain figure, you start laughing. Never do that. Most times they won't take you serious because you have also shown you're not taking yourself serious. So why should I take you serious because of your pay? So on this note, I've taken you through salary negotiation, your salary negotiation, benefit negotiation, and then what do you call it now? Strategies for success. When you're talking about strategies for success, don't always look at the financial component alone. Learn to put your gaze at the non-financial component, because sometimes the non-financial component could be higher than what you are arguing for. You're arguing over 200,000, and somebody is paying for lunch, is paying you fuel allowance, is paying you call allowance. Some organizations don't even do 13th month, and you see a 13th month there. And then some even say profit sharing. So what are the non-financial, so that I can wrap up? I extended with 15 minutes extra. So let me quickly take the three. Maureen is going to laugh. I'm taking the 3 minutes extra. What is that? What are those non-financial components? You're talking about HMO. You're talking about learning development opportunities, being sent on training. I had one of my candidates that refused a job because there was no training there. Then you have the one that has to do with lunch allowance, meal. You have the one that has to do with transportation or fueling. You have the one that has to do with work flexibility. Twice in a week, you work from home. Transport cost saved, lunch saved, stress saved. Then you have other ones that has to do with what other things, wellness program. So please consider it. So on this note, I will be signing off as on this program, Your Career and You by Beacon Gates. I'm running on the platform of Beacon Gate Limited, a consulting company. We're into, guess what? Recruiting. We're into training. We're into outsourcing. We're into what else again? Coaching. That is what I can remember. And of course, setting up organization structures for companies that don't have structures, don't have processes. Like an insurance company now that had an issue some months ago, and they were talking about setting up a promotional framework. People have been in the organization 10 years, 6 years, they've been on certain level, and then they started getting new people in. Some were getting promoted, and then you saw some people now, they didn't have a salary increase. So it became a problem for them. So on this note, I remain Rita Babalola of Beacon Gate. So see you 2 weeks time. Enjoy your week and have a great weekend. Thank you. So I'll need to end the stream now. So I'll need people to go off. Like and lyric Bisola Olatunji said, Glassdoor, what at work? Yes. Engineer Okolo, I see you. The role of fringe benefit can never look into that, or some organization doesn't look into that. Okay. Olasheni is saying thank you, Ma. Many thanks. Bisola, thank you too for joining us. I have Saeed, thank you. Please talk about basic salary, housing, and transport salary breakdown. That is on payroll. We'll be talking about that next time, but not for July. I have singled out like 3 topics that will be taken in the next couple of weeks, but that is not. But we could put it in. I'm sure I will put it in one day and we'll talk about it. And Shuaib is saying this was so insightful. Thank you. Many thanks to those people that always make it a point of duty to always join me on this part of Your Career and You. So see you next 2 weeks. Thank you.